Okay, Salome, let's do this together.
Yeah.
All right. So let me start by asking you, what do you think this question is testing?
Maybe like ability to differentiate, like when they give you like an equation, like if they're asking like for like when you factor it, like if they're asking you to find like they want you to factor it, and then you have to like equate like the variables they give you to like the fact.
What they're testing is something that's called equivalence. Equivalence. We have that in verbal, we have that in math. It's a marker of intelligence. It's a marker of the fact that you can think in abstract terms. You can allow the possibility that this equation with x to the fourth in it can be rewritten as this. This is proof, solid proof that you can think in abstract terms, which makes you a perfect candidate for a really rigorous educational program. And that's what it does. And I know right now this is question 1 because this is the beginning of the class, but this is usually question 21 or 22, and it has tremendous power to discriminate between a student who's at 710 and at 780. Let me show you what. First things first, what does Z represent? Because this is equivalence, right? The first equation can be rewritten as the second equation. What does Z represent?
Z, isn't that just like, would that be like just like a factor?
Excellent. This could be something that is completely pulled out, right?
Yeah.
Excellent. Can you tell me what Z is right away?
Well, not really, because I tried finding if there was like a factor that like all of these numbers shared, but there wasn't.
Excellent. And there is a clue right in front of our face in the middle. What do we know about number 53? It happens to be
a prime number.
Prime. What do we know about primes? How many factors do they have?
They have like their own number and then 1. So they only have 2.
That's it. So what is Z? 100%.
1.
1. Z is 1. For that, I want you to memorize a couple of really prominent prime numbers. Salome, how many prime numbers do you know? Just like at the top of your head.
Probably like around 10.
Okay, let's go. The first one is
1.
2. 1.
Oh no, not 1. Okay, then 2.
2. Then
3.
Excellent.
5.
Excellent. Let's remember your third grade. Let's travel into 7. What else?
11.
11. What else?
17.
13. 17.
Oh, yeah. 19.
19. Then there
23.
Good job. 23. Then 29. Then 31. 37. 41. 47. 53. 59. 61, 67. I would just remember these. Obviously, there's 71, there's 73, there's 79, 83, 89, and 97. But if these numbers are in here and you need to pull out a number, you can easily find that Z is 1, because it's either 53 goes into all of the other ones, which it doesn't, or it's 1. Unfortunately, there is no very straightforward way for us to know whether the number is prime using decimals. But there is a very straightforward way for us to know all of the factors of a number using decimals. And I'll show this trick to you today. I thought this was like common sense, common knowledge, but apparently it isn't. So I'll shine the light on this if you don't know. So Z is 1. Cool. What else is kind of like a trigger to a trained test taker when they're looking at this equation, Hannah? What do you think?
Maybe like the leading coefficient is greater than 1.
Okay. Do we know anything about x to the fourth in the confines of the SAT?
There's like 4 factors. Like it has like it.
For the SAT, Hannah, the sliver of content that they're testing is very small. They're not allowed to really test your knowledge of quartic equations, which means there must be a way for Salome and everyone else to think of this quartic equation in a creative way. What is that creative way, hon? Can we use substitution?
Oh yeah, we could.
Teach me.
We could do like x to the fourth is the same thing as x raised to the second raised to the second.
Let's just use this. This is very typical. I've seen many students of mine use this approach. X squared is 10. Rewrite this equation for me now.
So that'd be like 14n squared plus 53n plus 45.
Good job. What we now have is a quadratic with a leading coefficient we could not get rid of. Whenever we have a quadratic with a leading coefficient we could not get rid of, what do? We factor by.
Which is like.
It's called factoring by. Starts with a G, ends with an ing.
Grouping?
That's right. We factor by grouping. What does that look like? We take 14, we multiply it by 45. What do we get?
630.
630. Good job. Now, what are the factors of 630 that add up to 53? If you're going to be doing it manually, you're going to go insane.
Oh no, it's 63 and negative. Oh, well, okay, wait. This is the part I got stuck on.
Very good, very good. And I may have a solution for you, huh? So, if you grab 63 and negative 10, would the product be positive 63?
No.
630? No, it would be a negative 630. You need two numbers that would multiply into a positive 630 and add up to 53. So, I'm going to show you something. This is a way that you can use in a quick way to figure out all of the factors of a number. So, the equation that you're going to draw in Desmos looks like this. Y equals whatever the number you're exploring over x. So right now, we're going to do y equals 630 over x. And you're never going to care about what the graph looks like. It will always look something like this. It will look like a fractional function, like a rational function. Rational function. It will look something like this. But what you are going to do is you're going to turn it into a table. Do you know how to do that?
Wouldn't you just click the table option?
The settings, right? And then the table option. Very good. I'm going to start at everything that starts after 1. I immediately know that 2 and 315 is a factor, but 2 and 315 is not going to help me because it doesn't add up to 53. I could try 3. I know 3 and 220. I can try 4. And as of now, 4 and 157.5 is not something I'm interested in because it's not a whole number. So those are not integer factors. What I am sensing right now is that the numbers are too big for me to get 53. So just to save myself time, let me think of maybe like 13. Does 13 go in? No. And then 13 plus 48 is still going, it's still a little bit too big for me. So maybe I go with 15. 15 plus 42 is still too big. Maybe I go with 17. 17 doesn't work. What about 18? 18 to 35. What is 18 plus 35?
53.
Am I looking for 53?
Yeah.
That's it. So there is a way to do this in a much more complicated way, but if you know how to get the factors of a number using this way, and you can estimate rather quickly, I think you're golden. So now we know that I can rewrite this equation as 14n squared plus 18n plus 35n plus 45, right? I did not change anything about the original equation. The only thing I messed with it is I just rewrote 53 in this way so that I could factor by grouping. What is my next move, hun?
Then you just factor by grouping the 14 and like you could take out 2 from the 14, and 8, and then the factor inside would be 7 and
I'm factoring out 2n, right?
2n.
What's inside?
And then inside it would be 7n plus 9.
Excellent, 7n plus 9. What else am I able to take out from the second pair?
The second pair you can take out a 7.
A 7? Is 45 divisible by 7? Last time I checked it was.
Yeah, I did it. I like factored it a different way, but there. I think you can. Oh, you can take out 5.
I could take out 5. Awesome. Yeah. Then what's left inside?
And then inside it would be 7n plus 9.
And it's key that we have 7n plus 9, 7n plus 9 repeat. Otherwise, it won't work. Cool.
Yeah.
So then, what do we do? How do we finish factoring by grouping?
You can factor out the 7n plus 9.
Good job.
And then you would have 7n plus 9. And then in the other factor would be 2n plus 5.
Bingo. Now, what they asked us to do is to match this up with this. So z, which is 1, and then ax squared plus b, and then cx squared plus d. Because all of a sudden, we remember, n is actually x squared. Just bring it back. And they asked me for the smallest possible value of AB. So my smallest value of A is 2, and my smallest value of B is 5. Is it clear why I'm choosing this rather than this?
Yes, because it'd be the same if you like changed the way it just the variables would be like, yeah.
It would be product property, if you also remember the elementary school.
Yeah.
Right? A times B times A is the same. So since this is a term and this is a term, we can just change their order so that we can get the correct answer. Some of you have been answering like 16. 16 would be wrong because they did not ask for any value of A times B, or 18. They did not ask for any value. They asked for the smallest. So just make sure that you understand how to match. Like that is where the high differentiator comes from, because you can get all of it correct, but then end up with the wrong answer. You need to be not only able to identify equivalence, know how to factor by grouping, see that 53 is a prime number, but also answer the right give me the right answer.